This is a huge event. I do want to start off with the venue itself because it is unique, and so far it's primarily been used for concerts and other things. Talk about what sort of changes, if anything, that you had to consider in moving a sporting event to a venue like this.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's never been done before. A sporting event has never been held there, and a live event that's beaming out to the rest of the world has never been done. So there were a lot of challenges in pulling this off. But, you know, I like to be first. I went to see U2 there. I love the technology, and I wanted to take this challenge on.
What type of the Sphere technology, is that going to be incorporated into the actual matches and other events themselves? Will it be like while the fights are taking place, or is it going to be more used kind of in between the different bouts?
Yeah, so one of the things that I realized when I went to see U2 at the Sphere was that the Sphere was the star of the show, not U2. I was in Dolan's box, so I was sort of sitting back, listening to like U2's greatest hits while they're playing, and I was focused on the screen and what was going on. And then every once in a while, I would peek over and look down at U2. So one of the biggest, there were many challenges production-wise for this event, but one of the biggest challenges was, how do you make sure that they're looking at, we're going to do these films that will come in chapters. So there will be a chapter of the film before a fight, then the fight will happen. So you will be focused on the Sphere, then the focus will, you know, the attention will be to the fighters during the fights. Now, the media plane in the back will stay alive during the fight, and it will, you know, clouds will be moving, birds will be flying, fires will be, you know, whatever is on there, and it will slowly evolve during the fight.
I see.
And yeah, lead us to the next chapter of the movie.
Okay, so I understand the UFC has spent $16 million on UFC 306. Has this number risen? And I ask because I wonder if this is the most expensive UFC event ever.
The budget for a big UFC event is usually between $2 and $2.5 million. Our budget was $8 million for this. We're $20 million in.
Wow.
$20 million in. Are tickets selling at the rate you expect, Dana?
Yeah. Tickets are going like they always do. We will sell out this week or the night of the event. It's the biggest gate in UFC history, 22 or 23 million it'll end up at. And the biggest fight we've ever done for pre-buys. People buying the pay-per-view a week before the week of the pay-per-view. It's the most pre-buys we've ever had in the history of the company.
I believe you also said that the event at the Sphere will be a one and done. And I wonder why that is. Is this because of the deal that you have with MGM to be an anchor tenant?
Yeah. So we have a deal with MGM. We had a problem. The resolution to this problem was I wanted the Sphere for Mexican Independence Day. They gave it to me. Yeah, this will be a one and done.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit. Just real quickly, Dana, I do want to talk about the Mexican Independence Day side of this. But on the cost structure, because I didn't realize how much money that you had to put in this relative to your past bouts here. You do have sponsorship for this in a way that you didn't have for previous events. Just kind of explain that.
Correct. So the way that I do things normally is if I have a vision for something, I figure out, first of all, what do we have to do to execute this? Second of all, I bring on our finance team to walk me through what they think the number is going to be to pull this off. So then I do it, I pull the trigger, then I go out and figure out how to pay for it.
Okay, nice job there. I'm sure that's not stressful. Dana, talk about the Mexican Independence Day side of this. I mean, looking at the idea here that you're kind of leaning into, at least for what a huge part of our population is a huge day, and you're really embracing that in a way. Is this a strategy to sort of gain, I guess, new followers, new customers into the UFC ecosystem?
Well, we have a very, very large Hispanic following already. And I just opened a performance institute down in Mexico. So this is sort of my love letter to Mexico. This entire Mexican Independence Day fight is going to be about their history, their culture, their traditions, their contributions to combat sports. Some of the baddest dudes that have ever walked the face of the earth have been Mexican. And this is a celebration of that on this night.
I want to talk about media rights and media partners. I believe you have a current deal that's worth about $1.5 billion. And the UFC will have an opportunity to renegotiate, add new partners next year. What do you project the price will be next year? And who would you consider as partners?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this plays out. I mean, we could end up being like the NFL and other sports where we could be on multiple platforms or just one. I don't know how that's going to play out. But yeah, we're in those talks now. And to be honest with you, a lot of those potential media people will be at the Sphere this weekend.
Yeah, they'll be watching everything live. So this is a question from someone who hasn't really sat down to watch UFC. But I think about boxing and how, that's just kind of one part of what you do. But it's a very niche sport now. It used to be the most popular sport on earth, and then it became kind of a niche sport that you can only access through pay-per-view. How are you going to position the UFC so that it grows beyond a niche sport?
Well, if you look at the way that you do that is you reinvest in the business. And that's what we've done since day one. Every time boxing puts on an event, it's like a going out of business sale. They try to grab as much money as they can and run. They never reinvest in the sport till recently. Now, Sheikh Turkey out in Saudi Arabia is probably the biggest investor ever in the history of boxing in a short amount of time. But one of the things that we've always done is reinvest. Now, when I grew up, there was Channel 3, Channel 5, Channel 8, and Channel 13. Then when I was in high school, we had about 33 cable channels. Over the next several years, I believe there's going to be a Channel 3, 5, 8, and 13 again, but globally. And I always dreamed of a day where I could put on a fight and the entire world could watch the fight at the same time. What's the ceiling on this thing? 8 billion people in the world. So I'm going to continue to go into markets I've never been to. We're looking at Africa next year. And continue to build the live events, the sport, and build the business.
Are you, Dana, I do have to ask you about a competition. Obviously, there have been some upstarts here that have tried to sort of take some of your market share out of UFC here. And some of them have done well. I'm curious as to whether you worry about some of those leagues or whether those end up complementing what you're trying to do at UFC.
My first question would be, who's done well? And then my answer to that would be, there are always going to be people trying to compete. There's no barrier to entry to this. Anybody can get involved and anybody can try to do it. I don't ever think about that, about what other people are doing or what their plans are for MMA in the future. I focus on what I do. I know what my game plan is for the next 5 years, and that's all I care about.